A street dog was looking at him with wet eyes and a gurgling stomach. He tried to chase him away, but the dog didn't move. For Hyundai Mersin manager Mariano, seeing homeless animals straying the streets was not a surprise. There were so many dogs in Brazil that they had an unofficial name, pets. Mostly, he ignored the dogs' wide-opened eyes and their groaning for the food. To others, this could have made him seem heartless. The reality was much more confounding. Mariano had only empathy for these creatures. However, he had already adopted 2 of them, and that was all he could afford. With over 30 million others, he was on the edge of how he could help. So when a wet, shivering dog stood on the steps of the car dealership, he was perplexed. If he fed the dog, it would stay. He especially was worried that the dog would be aggressive towards anyone trying to get inside, or at least disturb him. The manager decided to ignore the dog until it realized it had to find help somewhere else. But then something strange happened. The dog refused to move. It settled on the porch and happily sat there, looking for leftovers. Even after chasing him away, the dog would return, fall, and wag his tail with little enthusiasm. One morning, a customer entered the store with his dog. The dogs were playing and sniffing the cars. The man asked whose dog it was, and Mariano said that it was a homeless dog. Suddenly, something shocking happened to the man, and Mariano had no idea what was going on. The man began to shake and eventually collapsed. He burst into tears. Mariano was shocked and didn't know what to do. He asked the man if he was okay, but the man continued to apologize. Despite the fact that Mariano had worked at the dealership for a long time, he had never faced anything like this before. So what happened? Confused and shocked, Mariano gave the man a glass of water and pulled up a chair. After a few minutes, the man calmed down enough to explain his strange behavior to Mariano. The man has been through a lot in the last few weeks. The dog, he explained, was the straw that broke the camel's back. He told Mariano an unbelievable story. The pain of his loss had terrified him for weeks. He looked after his mother's property as well as he could, packed all of her things in boxes, and donated them to charity. All that was left was his car. The man's mother, Rose, had owned a dog that looked just like the stray from the car dealership. But the strange series of coincidences didn't end there. That dog was his mother's everything when her husband died. And when the dog saved her, she couldn't even suspect that he would give his life for her. One night his mother went to bed early because of a terrible headache. She had checked the dog and had fallen asleep. But she had been fully unaware that something was going to happen. Something had changed. Only the rescue dog had known something was wrong. The next day, it was all on the news. That night, Rose's apartment had caught fire and burned to the ground. But that dog she had rescued that day had woken Rose up just at the right time. If there weren't the dog, Rose would have lost her life. The dog lived happily with Rose for another 8 years before dying of old age. The man insisted that Mariano come with him to look inside his trunk, so he knew he was not crazy. In one of the boxes from his mother's house, there was a blue collar and a metal tag engraved with the name Tucson. Mariano couldn't believe his eyes. Mariano was stunned by the stranger's story, so he felt like doing something. Unfortunately, even if it looked like it was on purpose, the client couldn't get the stray dog because he already had 3. It was destiny that the dog came to the dealership. The best and most astonishing part of the story was that Mariano's stray was standing next to a particular Hyundai model on the dealership floor right now, Tucson Prime. Everyone was so in love with this precious pup that they decided to ask permission to adopt the dog and make him their official mascot. Not only did they say it was a great idea, but they wanted the company to become the dog's forever home. They took care of the dog and did everything necessary for him. But most importantly, the dog needed a name. It didn't take long for the team to agree on naming him Tucson Prime. Mariano printed the badge of Tucson and welcomed his new employee. As soon as they got this puppy adopted as part of their family and hired him as part of the working staff at the store, they created an Instagram account for people to follow and stay up to date on Tucson Prime's daily adventures. People started coming to the store just to see the new mascot. Soon the dog received an extraordinary invitation that even Mariano never received. It was an invitation to visit the current Hyundai factories. Mariano was a proud dad, as he led Tucson around the factory floor, with workers running and squealing with delight to give him belly massages. The puppy had already won the hearts of the leaders. The marketing team gave Mariano another incredible offer. They wanted to make Tucson part of a new series of national commercials. Its hairy friend was going to be famous. Who would have thought that a street dog would end up becoming one of the special employees in the company? A little kindness was all it took.